This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, I'd like to call the September 13th, 2023 meeting of the Easthampton Historical Commission to order. The first order of business is public speak. If there's anybody here to do that. We will skip the approval of the minutes and correspondence and go right to Russell. How do you pronounce your last name?
Brain. And this is Elaine Hartley, co-owner of the farm.
Oh, Elaine. Okay. So you are here, you're seeking to demolish a historically significant building, which is the barn has been inventoried and whatnot. This is a public hearing, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are going to open up the public hearing. Can you
have the macros printout too? I don't know if we need it or not. The barn came up on the registry in Macros. Not the barn, actually, the house, but it does mention the barn. I think it actually has a reference to it in the back page, which led me to an interesting few evenings of historic research.
And so, actually, why don't you tell us what you want to do and why and all that?
I don't want to take a lot of time, but so Elaine and I bought Park Hill Orchard 16 years ago, 2007. We thought it was a bit run down. Looking back now, we could say it was in ruins. And we've spent a couple $1 million in 16 years, pretty much all year long, bringing it back into production. It's a working orchard now. We still have the elephant in the room, which is this barn. So when we first got there, we thought we would put a new roof on the barn to buy time to keep water from coming in from the top. We found out the rafters are all dry rotted and needed replacing, and you couldn't do that work from the outside, and then the floors collapsed and the main floors collapsed, and so we couldn't set a scaffolding up, and so we started talking to builders. And we had a couple of estimates done, paid estimates with sharp pencil. They weren't that sharp pencil estimates, but there were barn builders that said they could do it. The problem with barn rebuilding people is that they're almost all doing upscale houses out of old barns. So when they see an ag building that wants to be made into an ag building, which is very low value, they're like, you can't afford it, because people will spend $1 million shoring up an old post and beam barn for a mansion, but they won't really do it for a storage barn, But we did get a couple estimates. The last guy came, spent about an hour in the building, came back, handed me a long-handled screwdriver and said, come on, let's go, let's poke wood until we find out what is sound and what is rotted. And we couldn't find any boards that weren't at least partially rotted, just poking a ruler. That was a real eye-opener for us. And so we began to look at other options. One thing we did was we listed the barn to see what would happen on a barn buy and sell website that was very popular. We had a couple people come over, no one was interested. They said it's not an architecturally interesting building and the materials are, not worth anything. So we looked for deconstruction. We thought we could deconstruct the barn. It's the same thing. The deconstructors all work for people that want to number all the beams and move them to a beautiful property and turn them into a mansion. So we couldn't interest anyone in that. So we realized maybe 8 years ago that we were basically going to have to not use that building. It was a long, hard road to that, and we weren't really willing to give that up, but reality had a way. with us. So we started looking at alternatives, and we decided, if we were going to put that kind of money into a storage and processing building like our farm needs, that we should make it for that purpose, purpose-designed building. So we came up with a design. We came close to making a run at building it 6 years ago, or no, the first year of COVID, I'm sorry. So that would have been 3 years ago. And then we fell on our face with that because our contractor, their whole family got COVID and he bailed out. So, and that was the scary early part too. Same contractors going now. I did find out a couple interesting things. One is that it's called the Josiah Phelps, Jonathan Bartlett House. Josiah Phelps didn't live in the house. He never lived in the house. He lived in this building. This is the original homestead, which was built in around 1750, according to the books. There was an attached barn. We were told there was an arched portico and then a barn to the left of it, which burned in 1965 in a welding accident with the Cena family. So the first two people that lived on the farm actually lived in that homestead building. Park Hill Road wasn't even built for 35 more years after that building was built. So I guess they used a footpath or a wagon path to get in. Basically, there was no real road.
Yeah.
We re-shingled that building. We shored it up. We put a new roof on, and I actually used Home Depot materials because you could see how it's been repaired over the last 273 years. And I said, well, I want to use my era's material on it too, So I used some plywood, and that building's in good shape. It was used for pesticide. The Cena's used it for pesticide storage. We had to wash it out and wash it out and wash it out. It was a blacksmith shop for a long time. They used to park their tractor outside, and they had a pulley on the power takeoff that worked this big bellows so that they could get hot enough. And then it was turned into a sugar stove. So we put a more modern sugar stove in it, a liter, and we do some amount of, we make 11 or 15 gallons a year from our various maples. And we use it for storage. It's really dry. It had a concrete floor poured in it at some point in the past. Should be there for a long time still. I mean, re-shingling it really helped. It was really sad when we came. We had to redo the posts on both sides of that door. It was all just like
How
about to
close is
cave
it to
in.
the house?
It's, I wonder if it's in any of these pictures. No, not quite.
There's the map.
I have the plat, I think, here.
Is it shown on the map?
No. I had printed out the plat. It's in this stack. It's across the barnyard from the bigger barn, the newer barn. You could see it on here. This is the farmhouse right here, and then this is where the great barn that we would like to take down is. And this is the original homestead, and the barn that served it was right here. It burned in 1965. This is a steel barn that was built by the same company as we had contracted to build this, as well as this building and this building. The builder, I met with him today, I said, this kind of barn is 200-year barn. He said it's a 500-year barn. So I don't know what that means, but he said that's still going to be used in a long time into the future. This one's almost 60 years old, and it's just getting broken in, so.
On this picture, I'm interested, what is this, the blue here?
Those are windows. Yes. We have other pictures here of it too. But the new barn, I guess, is not really what we're here to talk about, but I like this design. I took a gambrel and I turned it 90 degrees onto the side, a half a gambrel, just to make it look like
So
a
there's a
farm.
loading dock here.
Yeah, the loading dock's in the back, which can have a full 18-wheeler. This will be the cider mill where the pumice comes out of the cider mill. There'll be two 30 by 30 apple coolers in a large walk-in freezer, what's called a wet kitchen, which is a hosable kitchen, and a dry kitchen where we'll make pastries and other value-added products from our produce. This will be an office at the top. This window is particularly nice because it looks, you see the whole 127 acres basically from up there, you know, and it's almost like a control tower or something. It's not as big as this barn. It's not nearly as tall. The peak of this roof is probably about there. So it's a good bit shorter, you know, to heat. You wouldn't build this unless you did climate control now, and you need to bring the cubic feet down into a reasonable amount. We're going to fill this roof with solar just because those big coolers just take tons of electricity.
Yeah.
But you have, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of food, you know, so. I mean, I think on that other sheet, I basically said that every expert that we've talked to said this barn essentially can be rebuilt. Anything can for enough money, but it's not salvageable, and they wouldn't really feel comfortable charging us to work on it unless there was you know, we were, I guess, forced the issue with a bunch of money or something. I can pass these around. These are pictures of some of the damage that the barn has. It was weird because it was wonky in the first place. This beam goes up and steps over. I guess the roof didn't fit, so 100 and however many years ago they sort of moved it over. This is one of the apple coolers that's collapsed, and that's the floor upstairs. This is more collapsed floor. The roof has a bit of a hole in it here. We've shorted up with modern carpentry just to keep it from collapsing in place, well, so that we'd still have some options. Here's another hole in the main floor, and some more of the shoring. 16 years has gone by since we came there, but the barn needs the exact same work as it needed 16 years ago. Nothing has changed there. So it has progressed a little in its condition, but this is what it looks like today. I also took these pictures today. It was a nice day for photography. Not too much glaring sun. It was the original barn is this. That's the 1820 or whatever. This was put on in 76. It's a large apple cooler. This lean-to was the apple packing shed. It was put on probably in the 60s. I'm not sure when that part went on. That was what's called the showroom. It's sort of neat how it grew out. It reminds me a little of a crystal or something, but I only wish it looks more like a barn on the outside than the inside, unfortunately, because in 76 they had a bunch of good apple years and he was flush with money, and he raised the floor of the barn 4 feet. So the main door of the barn is a wall, and you can't like drive into it or anything anymore, because he needed more room in the coolers underneath, and he put in apple coolers underneath, and that was great. They were on year-round, and he insulated them with sawdust and pink panther. When he passed away, the coolers were turned off, and the wood got hot and wet, and you know, Lawrence, Larry Cena. I never met him, of course, but a lot of people here know him. A lot of people worked for him that come in my driveway.
Yeah.
And the process is I managed to make a list of every farmer that's been that's on the property since the very beginning in 1750. We're the 11th ones. There was a Ichabod Wright and another Wright, the Roots, Wright Root, owned a big farm over on Hendrick Street. They bought the orchard as a side farm for a while. They got foreclosed during the Great Depression, right before the Cenas bought it, so. Catherine Root was born in the house. We think we found about 24 or more children that were born in the house. Several people that died in there. So, and it's a solid house too. The biggest storm, not even the slightest creak.
I know Martha.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're asking for a waiver, because the barn is dilapidated and unsavable, and we landed a grant for $500,000, thanks to letters of support from the city and the Council on Aging and all these people. I have them here if anybody's interested, but it's these grants from MDR, the whole thing has to be done by June 30th next year, which is next to impossible. But our builders are on board. We're on 24-hour military time. and we think we can do it. It's a lot to do before then. So I missed the last meeting. I think there might have been summer break here. And I know time doesn't have anything to do with what you're here for, but at the same time, I just wanted to make you aware that we have to get the foundation poured before winter sets in December, so they can cure over the winter. Then the builder can put up the building in March through June. And so, yeah, if we pour the concrete in the spring, we'll probably lose the grant. So
time is of the essence, you're saying?
Well, yeah.
I know, looking at the pictures and whatnot, I am, obviously don't want to stand in the way of that. You said it's not salvageable, you had people come and look at it, right?
So I wrote in the contract with Associated Building Records of Springfield that to save the chestnut frame.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's going to break and some of it's rotted where it hits the floor, but we're going to get enough, we hope, to use them inside as the architectural details to cover the steel beams, basically. There's not much else. The siding is totally covered with lead. The roof is collapsed. Maybe we can save some of the old tile shingles for artists to paint on or something. And there's some windows I'm going to take out. The old wavy glass.
Anybody have any questions?
I think you're right in that ideally everyone wishes if it had been well taken care of and not altered and stuff, it'd be the kind of thing that could be a showcase. But I understand, and I hope everybody does, that when once you get to a point, and especially after it's been altered like that and sawdust and stuff, I can't imagine that there's any.
It was 13 years it was left with no one tending it. And it happens quick when in the right conditions.
And you all have been great stewards of it, and know that my impression is you'd have liked to have saved it if it could have been. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm sure if you couldn't come up with a way, I'm convinced there's no way.
Yeah.
So, as far as, we have a motion to...
I'll make a motion that we make it's a waiver, right, to the
I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure.
a waiver for demolition to the
Basically, I think it ends up being a sign off on one of the demolition permit application sheets.
Just basically,
We've done the asbestos hygienist came in and found a few examples. It adds about 10,000 to the demolition. And we've had the old cooler systems decommissioned. So we're pretty much ready. They have to do a rodent treatment apparently, even though there's no rodents in there, but they have to do it anyway.
Interesting.
So do we need any formal language, or shall I just say?
I mean, so the demolition procedure, it's like the first step was the finding of significance brings them to the public hearing.
Yep.
And then if the commission finds that it's a preferably preserved building, then enact the delay, and if it's not, or there's no reasonable likelihood that it could be preserved, then you don't act the delay.
So we don't need
So
a,
so I guess the motion is that,
Allow demolition.
that there's no, the motion to.
no demo delay.
Yeah, or to, I think you make the motion in the affirmative and then vote it down.
Huh?
So you make the motion to enact a demo delay, and then everybody votes against it.
Oh.
Do we have to make
Makes
it
as
that
much sense as
complicated?
You don't have to make it that complicated. You can do it other ways if you'd like to.
Yeah, it seems sensible to say that I make the motion that we're in support of not delaying, so we can't get it out.
Not delaying the demolition.
Not delay the demolition, yeah. So the motion is that we will make an exception and not enact the demo delay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of not enacting the demo? Okay.
Good luck.
You're good.
Thanks for your time, I know. It's what we need.
Thank you, and thanks for all the
Yes.
information. That was,
Yeah,
Do
good
you want
luck.
to keep any of these
Yeah.
fine exhibits? Or?
I would love to actually, that's one last thing that I would append is all that great research you've done. Is there a
Yeah.
way that we're going to be able to hang on to that? Will that be?
Wish there was a historic society
Yeah.
was hitting on all its cylinders, but I'm sort of writing a little, I don't want to call it a book, I'm writing a pamphlet on Park Hill history. Bill Chickowin is the neighborhood historian now, and every time I talk to him, he says, if only I'd paid attention to my father more, you know. But he has seen the barn that was attached to this homestead house when he was a kid, and he's the one that described it to me. Yeah, I have all the farmers, I have stuff, I know what the weird formation in the woods is now. It was a deer trap.
Okay.
Used by a lot of people to trap a lot of deer, apparently.
But you're writing that down in a way that'll be preserved. Maybe
Yeah.
a copy goes to the library.
So my
or?
book is called For the Next Earnest Farmer.
Okay.
And when we bought Park Hill Orchard, there was zero documentation on anything. We had no idea what the apple trees varieties were or anything. I'm documenting everything. And in fact, I think we're going to have a photographer do a little bit on this before it comes down still.
That'd be nice.
So that I have it for that thing. And I will file it wherever I can. Maybe Forbes has some material like that. Maybe they'd take something like that into their archives.
The Historic Commission has file cabinets downstairs,
Okay.
which
So
there
I
is
should put one in there.
Yeah, and right now I think for the Park Hill, it's just a copy of the Macris, the inventory, but if you wanted to supplement it.
And I'll volunteer what I've done for some of the other documents that we've had, that if it needs to be digitized, I'll digitize it so that if
Okay.
whatever form you're writing it in, we'll make it so that it's
The old
searchable.
book, like the Industrial History of Easthampton.
Yeah, we've got those digitized.
You can cut and paste off of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like hand typed on a typewriter, and yet you can just highlight it and cut and
Yeah,
paste.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. It helps so that when people are trying to find out information, instead of having to just scan.
Making it searchable is everything. Yeah.
Tap these back.
Okay.
Yeah, so Russell, anything you want to drop off, I can put into the Historic Commission's files.
Okay.
Oh, make it a permanent record.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of life was lived out there. Sawmill Creek. Was it always called Bassett Brook? Because in some of the records they call it Bartlett Brook.
That's Sawmill Creek.
And I've only heard of it as Bassett Brook or Sawmill Creek, so I'm trying to come to the bottom of that.
When you find out the answer, let me know. I've been
The guy
curious
that
as
built the
well.
sawmill was Bartlett, but it's called Bassett on all the maps.
I know in my genealogy, half the time the spelling has changed because of somebody's sloppy cursive.
Right.
Yeah, the street I lived on was always spelled with a Y at the end, and now it's always with an I at the end. Here too.
I guess we need to close the public hearing, right? Sure. We're going to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, take care.
Wish you good luck.
Thank you. Great.
Andy,
Sir,
how are you doing?
very good, and yourself?
Good, good. Grab a seat. Okay. What can we do for you?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has
And talking with Jeff, we've been going back and forth, and it took forever for the light to get approved from SDOT. And we finally, everything is approved, and we are moving forward with a project. So I just wanted to bring everyone up to date. One of the things that they were asking was, one of the requirements was either a letter of credit or a bond. So the bond, we couldn't get the bond because there was no language on, no one from the town could give us language to create a bond. So we have a letter of credit. So we're going in front of the planning board, not this upcoming meeting in October, just to present it to them. And one of the questions that I had for Jeff was the whole delay period that's for them that has passed already. So that,
Yeah, I mean, technically it was a 6-month delay, right?
It was a 6-month delay, and then it was
With the condition that you had the approval to,
correct. And we said we're not touching anything until
right.
we actually go and move forward with the project. So,
And yeah, then we agreed we would lift it when you had all the approvals in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right. So next meeting, in October when we go, and if they accept the letter of credit that we have to be able to fund for the light, so can we file for the demo? Permit?
If it's approved, yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
So it's not an issue from you
It
guys?
shouldn't be, right? I mean, we agreed that he could demolish the building if we had everything in place, so.
Right, and what I saw looking back at the record, there was a letter dated, but the demo delay was enacted on July 8th, 2020, and then it was continued for an additional 6 months in January, February of 2021. And at that point, I think the public hearing, because at that point, the planning board hadn't finished their process, but by then they had finished their process, and they wrote into their conditions that no demolition could happen until this whole thing happened with Mass DOT.
Correct.
So I think at that point, the Historic Commission said, like, there was no, I don't know if there was conversation of, but there was no additional continuing of that
My
hearing.
recollection, we said there wasn't any motion necessary because we were waiting on that.
Right, and so then the demolition delay lapsed in sometime in 2021. So
Yep.
it seems to be, at this point, yeah, you're, I think you're free.
Free to go.
I think, I mean,
It's been a while.
enough
It's been
time
a
has
long,
passed.
it's been a long project.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was easy enough, everybody could do it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it, and it was nice to see everyone, and thank you for.
It's good to see you in person.
Yeah.
Last time it was all over the
Exactly.
Zoom meetings and all.
Yeah. That was quite an ordeal.
Yeah.
Very good. Just want to bring everyone up to date.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm the only one who doesn't appreciate it.
I feel it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hoping that it would be there while I was still working, so I could, actually stop and get something on the way out of town. That's my last stop before I had to head north to drop samples off. And, by the time it's built, I'll be done.
I want
okay.
to talk to you if we stop there.
I'm not gonna sit next to you, Mike.
Yeah, well,
Don't come in with a coffee cup.
What's happening with the guy who was going to build to take down Oxbow Sports? He was supposed to build in July, and we haven't heard or seen a thing.
I don't know, actually. Now that you mentioned that, I'm like, I haven't heard anything either.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
because he
kind of,
was pretty sure he was going to tear it down and start this summer.
Mhm.
I know we got delayed from our build at our house by rain and
Rain and
planting problems.
Yeah.
Just everything is more,
Yeah.
every time everybody, lives a minute, prices go up. So,
I mean, the Oxbow Sports, I'll be happy to see them.
Yeah.
Although it's become like a Mayan temple. There's so much growth around it, but it's going to be obliterated in a few years. It actually looks kind of nice.
I like those
Yeah.
Cambodian ruins, the Angkor Wat, and all that, the vines growing up.
do you need to get going, or
I mean, I
if
suppose-
there's anything on here?
a
that
few more
you-
minutes if you want.
If you want to go through we'll just go through the items, if there's anything that you have information on. Metal detecting, we don't really have anything at this point. We've had a few discussions about where we might want to take it. On the sign program, we have no framework yet. No items to surprise us. Okay. Town clock.
I haven't heard anything. I
Okay.
think there was an appropriation from the city council to hire some consultants to look into it, to see what it needs and come up with a plan,
Mhm.
work for it.
Okay.
But I don't
That's
have
only-
it.
Yeah,
It's
it hasn't
hearsay.
been completed. But that was my understanding, but no word about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. School use, school reuse.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, so last night, the city sold the buildings. They're not,
Oh, they did?
Officially sold.
I'm gonna walk that back.
Okay.
We were in the process to sell the buildings. I don't know that they were actually, I think that the purchase and sale was all done, but
Was that the same group that did this building?
it's one half of the owners that did the 15 Cottage Street. I don't know what happened.
I mean, half of the owners.
Well, I guess it's one complete owner, but half of them in total.
Two halves make one whole.
Yeah, there were two guys that had a partnership together.
Like Marley and Scrooge, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then one of them
Opted
is
out.
yeah. So one of them put it in, and I don't know what happened to their collaboration or not or anything like that.
Okay.
And that was not meant to be a diss on them to compare. I was just trying to think
Yeah.
of two names that you thought of together.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what happened
Okay.
with the previous owners to 1 Ferry Street.
And so the canal, we're up to date on that. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
the
That's all
final report was put together and submitted to MHC. So I don't know if everyone would see
And the
that
last,
or.
the 13 is just kind of hanging there. Okay, so if there's nothing else,
Oh, so actually.
we're not ready to adjourn yet.
Okay, no, I was actually gonna throw something in there too, but
Okay.
So I noticed that, I don't know, that the demo delay update itself isn't here. So we had, I
Yes,
guess
it's
in
not-
July or
July,
July was voted. So then I tried to submit it to city council and it was kicked back because we need a sponsor of the city council to kind of sponsor it and shepherd it through.
yeah.
I had reached out to oh gosh, I'm too young to be having a senior moment.
it's okay. Happens to me.
You're not old enough.
I know.
One of the counselors.
I reached out to one of the counselors. Oh gosh.
And what happened?
I can
And
see
he
their
said me-
face, but I can't think of their name.
Exactly. He's got a big beard. And
What?
what's his?
What'd you say?
He has a big beard.
City council with a beard?
It's okay, we don't care. The point is,
So he said he was interested potentially, and then it dropped off my radar and hadn't.
It's not Tom,
It's
Pete.
Tom,
Okay.
yeah. He has a beard, right?
Huh?
He has a beard, right?
I think so, I know you had
I'm a bit,
beard.
I'm a bit face blind, so. I say these things like he's got a beard, but actually he could just have
I'm sure he won't be offended.
eyebrows.
I think he has a beard, but I've seen him without a beard also, I
Yeah.
believe.
So I need to reconnect with Tom about that, and
Okay.
is that anything that the body here should do? Like, would it,
I mean,
need to ask for somebody, hey?
he
somebody
wasn't,
can-
like, it didn't seem like he was like opposed and needed
Okay, so
any.
it was just-
It was just like, we need to find some time to sit
Yeah.
down so he can like
Great.
be walked through and like understand what's about, and then, but he was like, yeah, that sounds like a good use of,
Super.
so.
Okay. Sounds good
I'm
to
sorry,
me.
I'm sort of,
Well, the only thing I was gonna throw on there then is just, I just hate to throw it in, but I also, speaking of buildings and demolition, I don't know if any of you have walked up to Moriarty and Moriarty and Mom. Have any of you been to the building? It's
I
actually
have been contacting people about the fact that that window has
It's
been out for
open.
months.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
building is open.
It was open a year ago.
I
That's
looked
a
in
right
finally. I'm shocked
Moriarty, Main
that the
Street.
building wasn't
Yeah, Main and
empty.
Union.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
shocked
gas
that
station.
the health inspector hasn't condemned the building.
Yeah, because it's not like I thought it was from the outside. When I looked in, I was shocked. There's no,
awful.
that building's gone. There's no saving it. It's full of stuff too, which is the thing I
And
least
I've
imagined.
also heard from someone who has a business across it, it's full of vermin.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But I complained months ago about that front window, saying that they've got to do something with that building because some kid could pass
Yeah.
by there and get really hurt.
That was my
falling through
concern.
That window.
Yeah.
There's glass
Yeah.
on the, all over the sidewalk there, and you don't see it from the road
Right.
because the
Like
hedge.
the
hedge.
Yeah.
But I've checked it a number of times and it's in deplorable condition.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked.
He's basically using it for a parking lot, right? Behind there. Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't come forward, trying to get that demoed so he can make a bigger parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, anything would be better than what,
Oh, yeah.
now it's like the hurry and scurry.
It's an eyesore.
Yeah.
I mean,
And a hazard. It's more than an eyesore. I mean, it's less of an eyesore to me than the hurry-scurry was because that was more evident. But I'd say it's maybe more of a hazard because
Oh,
of the
it's a
glass,
health
the plate
hazard.
glass and stuff.
well,
Yeah, it definitely should,
And the fact that it's hidden behind the hedge means it's even more possible somebody would be in there and nobody would know.
All right. Well, how do you think the window must have gotten broken?
so I know that the EDIC did put together, started the process on the vacant storefront ordinance for the downtown. That's been, people have, like, business owners have come in, they're working with the building department on some of the buildings. I don't know what the status is for any particular of the vacant buildings and whether or not they paid or not, or if it's held up in courts or whatever. But if you want to make, complaints to the building commissioner, I think they would.
That's the proper way to go.
The building commissioner, if there's a building that's unsafe,
Or how
the
about-
building or fire,
Or health
police, or
department.
health, but putting in a formal complaint that, will get some
As a
form.
responsible commission, would the historic commission doing that be? That
You
sounds
can
like
do it
would be a
as,
good-
you can do it individuals or as the commission.
I think all three should be contacted about the condition of that building.
It's far more serious than I realized. There's sort of a facade when you're out there that makes it not seem so bad, but it's bad. So, yeah.
so what are
I
you
mean,
suggesting?
Well, I don't know if people, should we just do it individually? Do we think that the power of the commission is such that it would be nice to say that we're all unified about it, or does it
You could just
matter?
easily write an email to building commissioner, the health, police and
Yeah.
fire as individuals, and then you don't have to worry about any open
Okay.
meeting law,
Yeah, okay.
public thing, and
That
just,
sounds better. So
and
we'll
it
just,
yeah.
we'll
If you
just-
have any photos that you've taken,
I didn't take any photos or
Yeah,
anything,
no,
but
I
I
haven't
could.
taken any
Yeah.
but any photos that you would want to submit would also,
Yeah, okay.
just so that way they're like, oh, yes, that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
But if we
that's
take
bad.
photos, are we trespassing?
if you're not doing it in your official capacity as a member of the historical commission, then you're not doing anything, you're trespassing on private property and but you can see that from
You
the
can see it from
road.
the road.
You can, it doesn't say no trespassing. Maybe once you're in the building, you've now entered, but you didn't break and enter, you just entered.
Well,
Right.
even without entering,
You don't have
yeah,
to
even,
enter.
you don't have to enter
So
to
you don't,
show the.
so you're not doing anything, unless there's like a sign that says no trespassing and you are moving things.
To be honest, I think you can even from the Big E parking lot,
Yeah.
you can
You can
get
see it.
photos that
Yeah.
will be
I mean, it's a
adequate
big
to the
plate glass.
test.
It's a window as big as
Yeah.
this. It's been
It's-
broken for months and
Yeah.
months and
Yeah.
months, maybe
Yeah.
years, who knows?
Yeah.
It's been at least a year.
Yeah. So-
I did a site walk and saw it.
So maybe I'll take some pictures, write a letter, you write a letter, we'll all tag team it
Yep.
and individually hit up the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
send us the information that we're gonna,
Okay,
yeah.
so, one last thing before I can let you go. We need to approve these 3 months of minutes. Well, the 10th,
One of them.
we had them,
yeah.
and there was, the people that were at the meeting were not at the meeting on the 13th, I think. Although, yeah, that's what it was. Because it was 3 of us, and then the following month it was, and Nora and me. And Beverly and John were gone, so we couldn't approve them then. And then in July, maybe we could have, because there was 2 of us that were here out of the 3, for me and him. Anyways. So,
Do we approve them
if you want to take a look,
individually?
huh?
Do we need to approve them individually? Do we approve them as-
Well, yeah, I mean, probably should. I mean, we'll do May 10th first. If there's any,
Make a motion, we approve the May 10th meeting minutes.
written, okay. Second?
Second.
All
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Yay. 1 down. Pretty quick with these, so although there was some things that were. On the 13th, we had, before we moved.
Oh, sorry.
We had a motion to send the revised demo delay to the city council. So it's, I mean, it's something that we need to highlight in the minutes. And then there was also the Mr. Haas and his conniff that came from the ball field. We did not act on that. Okay, so, yeah, just wanted to point those things out.
Great. Yep. All right, I move we approve the June 13th meeting minutes.
Second that motion.
Abstain.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I think anyways, there's 2 of us. I think that's enough to approve, right? Yeah? Okay, so we're good. And then July 12th, where it was John and Tracy and myself. So to your best recollection, I was rewatching the recording, and there was some kind of hum in there. I had the closed captioning on because it was hard to understand everything, and it kept having in parentheses music. Oh yeah, it's music to my ear. Okay,
So I move we approve the July 12th meeting minutes.
okay.
Second the
Second
motion.
again, and all in favor, it's 3. Very good. So, next meeting, as far as next meeting goes, I do not know if I will be able to make it. If my surgery goes well, it'll probably be about 3 weeks where I won't be able to drive anyways,
Oh, yeah,
right?
right.
Yep. So,
Yep.
unless I get a ride.
Well, Walter, last time, after 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Was able to drive.
Was it his left foot or his left hip?
He's had both done.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, it makes a difference too.
And the last one
The first,
was...
I'm having my right, so that's
He's
basically.
driving.
The last one was the right. The first one was the left.
First one was the left. Yeah, like I said, typically, I mean, our meeting would be in the first 2 weeks anyways, so chances are.
October 4th or 11th?
Unless we want to delay it
You want to ride,
to at the end of the month or whatever, or middle of the month. I mean, it's kind of up in the air, as far as I'm
You're
concerned.
not going to feel like doing it, let me tell you.
Probably not the first couple of weeks, maybe after 3 weeks I might be able to, I might want to.
Yeah, you might go crazy after a while.
If I'm at Patty,
Are you
if I'm
rehabbing
at Patty's house for 2 weeks, I'll definitely be crazy.
Is that where you're going to rehab?
Well, I don't have any stairs there, so very few stairs there, instead of 2 flights. So,
So
at least for like the first week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever.
she's going to
So-
take care of you.
Is that your daughter,
No, my
My
sister.
sister? Oh,
Yeah.
see, what is
So, I mean, if you want to keep it on, well, the 11th is no, that's not a holiday. It's a holiday week. It could go the 11th or the 18th, it's up to you guys. I can always, set up the agenda and I don't have to be here. Give it, leave it up to you.
Preference?
No? No preference?
How about the
We're
11th?
going to schedule for the 18th and I'll
Okay.
have a better chance of making it.
Okay, 18th, 6:30?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. And
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.